personal question I had about the Frozen attraction is that I've noticed miraculously somehow there's no noise bleed. How did you guys pull that off, and was there any special technique to making it work that way?
Oh, really, it was just working with our audio teams, and that's what they're experts in, and kind of pulling that all together, and how the timing works with each song, and how you kind of blend between those scenes. So it's really kind of our audio team helped just finesse each of those things, but it's kind of our standard audio work that we do all the time. Yeah.
You mentioned in the panel that, and I didn't know this, that the animatronics in the ride are the first to go electronic instead of hydraulic. Was that something you knew you wanted to do going into the ride?
It was something, yeah, that we'd been working on for a while and wanted to be able to fully debut at a larger scale here. And so we started that route from the beginning. We kind of switched courses how to get to that, but always knew we wanted the figures to be all electric.
Are there any, small details or fun facts or tidbits about making the ride the guests who go on it a few times may not notice, but are kind of there below the surface?
I think one of the things that wanted to hint at or have the whole time is just really feeling like you're in the movie every time, and so whichever way you look around, you feel like you're part of that. And so everything from the ice texture and the walls and how we pulled that from the movie and did our interpretations of it, to then references to Maelstrom and what used to be there before. So little puffins that are in kind of that finale scene with the castle, they make an appearance again, or a little reference to Maelstrom in the load building as well before you head out to sea. You see a little slate board with a little chalk writing. So some of those second reads and things that you wouldn't notice the first time because you're maybe so infatuated by seeing Elsa and Anna singing to you, come back again and you notice that the ice comes alive, the detail in that, the color of the snow, all of those type of things. Really kind of wanted to pull out of the movie, but also bring to life in a dimensional form that had never done before. Yeah.
Are there any hidden Mickeys?
We do not have any hidden Mickeys in there, yeah.
Or do you just want us to find them?
No, we don't have any there.
How long did it take you to search for the inspiration until you found the house that you landed on?
We were lucky. Michelle Dundalk, our creative director, had been doing some different research and different studies on it, and he found that pretty early on as he was coming across stuff. We didn't know where it was from or what it was, so dug into it a little bit more and just loved the idea of this farmhouse for this farmer had built for his wife. And the design, and it's so just quaint and detailed. As you zoom into it, all the work, the craft work that's in it, and so then when we got to see it in person, it just sold it even more. And just something different for the pavilion. You didn't have that log cabin look really. We had the stabers that are the Puffin's Roost and the Kringla and the stave church buildings, but it's just to add a different flavor to the whole space.
I'm not cutting anyone off, am I? Okay, cool. So, personally, when I've experienced the ride, I was most blown away, and I've heard other people have noticed this too, that it really feels like Olaf is looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's so realistic. What kind of design challenges did you face in kind of elevating that, where you really feel like you're experiencing these characters from the movie so much in real life?
That was a big thing, that we wanted it to feel like they are singing and talking to you. They're right there with you and kind of invite you in. So, like we showed earlier, really looking at sight lines and study models and all of that, so that we think about where you are, what the timing is, but then also what the lyrics of the song were. So we changed almost every song, changed up lyrics a bit or which characters sang them, and that allowed us to then give you that personal connection where they talk about, instead of it's time to see what I can do, it's time to share what I can do. So Elsa says that to you, or Olaf greets you as he walks up. So that just it connects you almost immediately as you turn that corner and you feel like you're part of it.
And did you work with the Lopez's on rewriting those lyrics?
They did, yep, we did. So both Bobby and Kristen Lopez were part of that experience with us. So brought back all the original voice talent and music talent across the board to help with those lyrics and write the music.
What you mentioned, definitely writing it multiple times. There are all little details that guests will pick up on. Do you have one that you think guests who have been on it want to go on again, they shouldn't miss?
Ooh, that's a good question. I This is a small one, but one of my little favorite ones just because I love anything when we kind of go miniature and small. I love the little lampposts on the bridge as you go in the castle when you drop back down and you're in there. I just find that fun and cute. Or the windows are lit up in the houses up above as you go underneath. It just makes the place feel that much more alive as you go through it. So maybe not something you miss, but you go through that scene pretty quickly, and there's fireworks going on and all this stuff. So there's so much to take in. That's something you might miss.
And were there any more firsts of this ride that maybe weren't discussed on the panel? Like I know that you moved from hydraulic to electric.
Yeah.
But is there anything else like that popped up in the design?
We've done it with several rides here, but we took it a lot with this one as well as kind of this pre-visualization and the dish tool that we've talked about before. We've done that some where we could really pace out the ride and time it and experience it ourselves before we physically built it. So that way we can understand, like you said, the characters talking to you and feel like they're connecting with you. So that was a big thing. We just continued to take to the next level of how we could do that here. And then it was a great experience of just kind of bringing all of that together. I don't think the film team had been ever so involved. We were lucky enough that Frozen was so new in the grand scheme of Disney. It's a newer film. And so we joked that, for instance, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, you don't have the film team to go back to and ask questions on. But here at Frozen, we have that team right here available to ask questions to. So whether it was what were colors and patterns that work for Anna and Elsa, to how do you do the ice magic and the textures, all of that we could do for the first time a lot easier. Even Little Mermaid, you have a lot of the same people still around, but not that tight team that's still working on things Frozen.
You talk a little bit about the story for the attraction, because there is one. It takes place, I believe, a year after the initial film.
Yeah, so it's just about a year after, and it's our summer snow day celebration. So it's really Elsa has frosted over the kingdom and is inviting you up to the palace and everyone into there. So as you step into that world and go inside, you courtyard with the beautiful snow-covered roofs and that nighttime. But it's really kind of that ever after story. So we didn't want to do necessarily a book report of the movie, but we know all of us have expectations of you want to see and hear Let It Go or Olaf and the Willow Forest, and this was a way to kind of bring those two together, give something new that takes that story of Frozen and pushes it a little further, but it celebrates what it is.
I think my favorite detail in the queue is the reference to the Frozen Fever short, where the newspaper clipping of Hans getting hit by that giant snowball.
Yeah.
And it really adds to that. I love it.
Yeah, no, those are some of my favorite details of all those second, third, fourth reads that if you go through the first time, you just taking in the whole space, and you can come back again and start reading the details or anything like that. And that's something that I try and do with all projects that I'm part of, is what are those reads for all the fans that are here or whatever, and I'm one of them, if you wanted to remember that moment or Google something and see what pops up and connect it all together.
And are there any details like that for the pavilion as a whole, or the part that you were involved in, that stick out to you as special?
Probably those newspaper clippings are a fun one. The little chalkboard inside the load building that very few people see, because you're greeted by a cast member and then go right to load the boat. If you turn around to your right, you'll see a little board that has some little writings on it and messages there. And then the entire meet and greet, I mean, all the props and details in there are so authentically Norwegian. We had people that their heritage is from Norway and they worked on stuff. We had wood carvers that actually worked on the original Norway pavilion come back and help us with some of the wood carvings there. One of the cabinets is actually about 250 years old, authentic Norwegian piece.
Oh, like not even a replica.
Yeah, so one of them is not a replica. All of these things are real pieces, whether they're hand carved by current artists or again, decades or centuries old even.
Was it? You go ahead.
So in moving from the hydraulic to the electronic animatronics, was there any challenges in terms of costuming for that? Like, did it actually improve things or change how you could and had to costume the figures?
You always have to think about it a little bit differently in general because they move. You want them to move like a human, but obviously,
They can't put a shirt on like a human.
yes. So I don't think it really changed anything dramatically, but you can get more movement out of them, and so you just have to think about what does that mean as her arms can maybe move faster or do more things. So just thinking about fabric types and what is Elsa's dress, what is it, and so kind of in between, I'd say. Yeah.
Was it always the plan to extend the ride track from the old Frozen layouts to move the entrance to the exit and put the track in the old load station?
That was from day one. We had started with that. We really wanted to get as much as we could out of the whole story and show, and so that was a way to do that in that facility.
Is there anything else within the attraction that appears seamless, but is actually very, very difficult to pull off?
I think one of the biggest things that from us was all Elsa's Let It Go ice magic scene. So the moment you go in there and she pushes your boat over and pushes you back with her ice magic, that whole sequencing and timing of those scenes, it's multiple scenes all stitched together for one seamless moment till you leave through that fog tunnel. And so all of that together was a big integration from our lighting teams and media, special effects, audio animatronics teams, the ride team with the boats, and all of that together, which is why, again, going back to those digital pre-visualization tools helps to tie that together. Something that probably could have been done but in the past, but just not as easily or well integrated together. And so that you can come in and pull that all in, and the goal is to make it look seamless, and hopefully it does.
You did it.
Yeah, and so that is one of the bigger pieces, is timing all those things together.